I'm Anthony Viciana with Princess Cruises and Cunard Line.
Anthony, I'm so glad to have you as our special guest expert on this business coaching show. And I know we have, of course, we have our group boot campers on. You guys know how it works. We have a brand new boot camper. Kathy, welcome. If you are a guest, if you've never ever been here before, would you do me a favor? Go ahead and type into that question box there, and only I can see it, okay? So go ahead and type something in. Let me know it's your first time. I won't embarrass you or anything. I just want to know you're here and welcome you in. So the way it works is really simple. The slide that you see is never going to change. But you see my face, you see Anthony's face, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to answer your questions. Our agenda is your agenda. What's on your mind? Any successes you want to share to inspire us? Any failures you want to share to inspire us? Our mission here is to help you grow your business, and this is as close to a one-on-one business coaching session that you can get. And I want to welcome Anthony on the show. Anthony, you have been with Princess and Cunard for how many years now?
It is going on 12 years. Going on 12 years, right? Yep. Yeah, it'll be 12 years in October. It's funny how time flies. It really is incredible. I started with Princess and Cunard in October of 2005,
Okay.
and prior to that, I spent 15 years with Carnival Cruise Lines in a variety of roles. I was primarily a business development manager, so I was a sales rep, and then I also headed up national accounts for about 5 years or so, and then made the move over to Princess
Mm-hmm.
and Cunard, and it's been a fantastic ride for these last 12 years.
Cool. That's pretty awesome. That's very impressive to show that level of commitment to a company. And you won't know. You couldn't have been. I don't know if you know this, but I worked for Princess for about 2 years, almost 2 years. Back in the days of Rick James when he was a VP sales, and I worked for Tom Brown. He was the regional back then, long time
Right.
ago.
I actually knew that, and I knew that about you. And so Tom Brown, that's actually who I replaced. So when Tom
Okay.
Brown retired in 2005, I was hired to fill his shoes.
Okay. Cool beans. Yep. All right. So we've got a lot to cover because there's been a lot of questions sent in. I want to thank those of you who did. Let me check the boards before we get started here. Jim. Oh, Jim is here too. Brand new boot camper from Waverly, New York. Jim, welcome to Group Boot Camp and welcome to the Ask Stuart Hour. I'm so glad you're here. Melissa is here from Arkansas, and she's saying hello to us. Welcome. My wife was just in Tuscaloosa visiting her two boys. We've got two of her four boys going to University of Alabama, and she was there for game weekend. Oh my gosh, I've been there for game weekend. And Anthony, I don't know if you've ever been to a college ball game down here in the Mid-South. It is so different from the Northeast. It's insanity. Truly is.
There's
So
college
let's.
football. There's college football in the Northeast.
No. But exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's just so
I went
different.
to I went to Florida. I went to Florida State. I'm a proud Seminole, actually going to this weekend's game against Louisville. So so I'm excited about it.
Cool.
Fear the fear.
Anybody else a fan? Let's hear it. All right, here we go, everybody. We're going to dig in right here. We're going to start off with Sam from Traveling Good Company. She asked a whole bunch of questions, so I'm going to put this in with other questions that came in. So let's just start off real quick. What's the process for blocking staterooms for a group? How does it work with you?
Well, you could either do it online. So you know, let's start with the easy stuff. You can pick up the phone and give us a call. That's it. If that's how you want to do it, we are happy to take your calls.
Okay.
1-800-PRINCESS. It's very simple. Just 1-800-PRINCESS. We'll give you a call, or 1-800-7-CUNARD, either one.
Okay.
Or if you like technology, Polar Online is constantly winning awards for, you know, easiest technology to use. So Polar Online, on Polar Online, you can block group space with us. It's literally 3 steps. You pick the ship, the allocation, and you hit enter, and you have what we call a T number. So you've got a group number, and it's a T number and a voyage number, and that's your group. So you can do that on Polar Online. It's super easy.
Okay. I got to tell you, one of the things, and I want to make sure our agents know this if they don't yet, years ago, you guys came out with Polar Online, and it was the first truly user-friendly, especially for groups, online booking platform for the agents. So I commend you guys, and I've heard nothing but awesome stuff about it. So agents, do you know about Polar? Do you use it? You want to give Anthony a shout out with just some words of your experience with it. Okay. Next, it, deposits.
Can I just say, let me
Yep.
wait. Let me just say one thing about Polar, because I know everybody has an online booking engine, but we have a team that like all they do is work on Polar and improve it, and we always, about 4 times a year at least, we have new rollouts with new features. We're constantly working on this. We've got agents. When I started with Princess about 12 years ago, I would run into agents and they would just go on and on about how much they love Princess, and I would take a minute and say, why? Why do you like us so much? What is it that we do? And many times the answer was, we love Polar Online. It makes us look good. You give us all the tools that your res agents have. It makes me look good to my clients. Anything that I could do by picking up the phone, I can do by doing on Polar Online. But the big one was, many times, people will just say, well, give me a price for an inside, give me a price for an outside. But the reality is our system is set up so that if you've ever sailed on Princess before, or even if you've just called, or you might just be in the overall world's leading cruise line database, by putting in the person's phone number, it might spit out a special rate just for them, and that the person might not have even known about. And many times people will just say, well, just give me the price on a balcony, and I'm sure I can't afford a mini suite. And many times our mini suites are priced lower than our balconies. So, or there's like a $10 difference between categories. So it's just a really powerful one. And you can see it there. It's so much more powerful than being on the phone and saying, well, res agent, what's the price for this category? What's the price for that category?
Yeah.
To be able to see it right there is really beneficial. So I just wanted to give a little plug there on why it's
No, that's great.
important.
And I'm glad you went into that, because it's one thing talking about a feature. Okay, you have Polar Online. It's another, a benefit. And you just shared a benefit. This is what I tell agents when you're talking about what they do for a living, how they book travel. Okay, that's the feature. What's the benefit? Why does a consumer need an agent to book a trip? They need to have a solid answer for that, which is the benefit. Why? And you just gave us a benefit for Polar. So, and that's, I'm sure, one among a lot. So I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you amenity points. That's a big deal these days. These agents, we need to use the amenity points to create more higher value packages. Sometimes agents leverage it to get the business in the first place to incentivize. But you guys actually protect it down to the first booking. Is that true?
That's correct. So we have most of our amenities are what we call passenger-facing amenities. So a bottle of wine, an onboard credit. Those tend to be the most popular ones. Those are protected with one booking. It's the ones where we get into like a cocktail party. We're looking for like a minimum 32 people because we got to block a room and got a bartender. If it's a bonus commission, that's something that goes to the agent. We might need a minimum there of 5 cabins. But for the most part, and most agents tend to pick the passenger-facing amenities protected with one booking. And talking about Cunard, the point values double in the suites. So in our suites on Cunard, and we have Princess Grill, which is like a mini suite, and we have Queen's Grill, which is a full-on suite. The Queen's Grill comes with butlers. The point values double. So if it's a $100 onboard credit in the suites, it's a $200 onboard credit. If it's one bottle of wine in the suites, it's 2 bottles of wine. So the point values double on Cunard. So I always like to make that point.
Yeah. No, that's
most of our sailings have points, 4 or 5 points on average. You can add points to it. Points are about $6.25 per point. So sometimes what agents will do is they will look and say, okay, what is it that my group needs, or what is it that I want for a group? How many points is Princess giving me? How many points do I need? And they can just kind of add that in and then build that into their final quote. If you want to take that out of your commission, you can, but people will gladly pay for stuff. So if you just bundle it all together and give people a price, and you can say this is what it's going to cost you, and you're going to get 2 cocktail parties, and you're going to get an onboard credit, and I'm making you T-shirts or whatever it is that you want to add to the group. But that's how a lot of agents do it.
Cool. You mentioned suites. Let me ask this question. This was sent in. Club class suites and mini suites, are they available to block for groups? Can they be held as part of a group?
Absolutely. You can block those, hold those. We've got a ton of mini suites. And what club class is we took our top level of mini suite and then carved out a section in one of our dining rooms that gives so we have 3 dining rooms on our ships. Let's just start with that. Instead of having one huge cavernous dining room, we have 3 dining rooms, and they all accommodate about 500 people each. And
Okay.
so they're a little bit more intimate. So one of those is traditional. There's dining at 6 and 8:30.
Hmm.
And then the other 2 are anytime dining. They're open from about 5:30 on, and you just, like a regular restaurant, you just go in, and if there's availability, we sit you. If not, we give you a beeper, and nobody ever has to wait very long.
Nice.
But we've carved out a section in one of those dining rooms for club class.
Okay.
And then what they do is they have like their own little section where they get in right away. They get priority seating. We do a lot of the tableside preparation that people really like, that
Hmm.
a lot of lines have gone away from, and we've
Hmm.
got really high satisfaction ratings on those. There's other things that we add with club class, but the big one really is this dining is the
Okay.
dining feature that people really enjoy, and those can be
Speaking.
blocked.
Okay, so speaking of restaurants and groups, one of the things we talk about is what can we do special for the group on board as well. Can groups pre-request a group area for dining? Can everybody be guaranteed to be seated together?
Yes, we can do that. So there's 2 ways to do that. The easiest way is if you book on Polar Online, there's an option to create a travel with ID. So
Okay.
in our princess speak, we call it a TWID. It's a travel with ID. And
TWID.
so there's different ways of doing groups, right? You can just hold group space and say, look, it's going to be spring break. This is the week that it's spring break in my town. I'm going to take out group space, and I'm just going to sell it. I'm going to sell into it. People are all on the same ship, but they're not really friends. They're not traveling together. I don't really need to have them together for dining.
Right.
But then there's the group where you do want to have rooms together and close by, and you want to have them dining together. You would create a travel with ID,
Okay.
and then every other booking that is made, you would just include that travel with ID, and that tells our maitre d', that tells our dispatchers who assign the cabins that
Hmm.
these people want to be together.
Okay.
We can also do that for you on the phone. You can
Okay.
call up and say, I kind of want to have these people together, and so
Right.
we would work on that. And then
And
we also have special. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, well, I was going to change slightly, but group venues, if they want to have meetings, that can be requested when the group is blocked. When can agents
When the
actually
group is
block a
blocked,
venue?
you can block it when you block the group. So when you
Okay.
open up and block the group, you can do that.
And that's where agents, the group would have meetings or whatever, little private get-togethers and so forth.
Yeah, typically it's either a cocktail party or the ones that tend to be a little bit more important to the group many times is the meeting space. This is a meeting at sea. We want to make sure we can meet on the days at sea, and can we block that? We want it in the morning. We can go ahead and take care of that when the group is blocked.
Okay.
We have the ability to do that.
Melissa says that she uses Polar often and she likes it. Jack says here, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I could see. Okay, Jack had clients on the Caribbean Princess. Now I don't know when. According to the client, they did not have a good experience. Jack is asking. He had thought Caribbean Princess was recently refurbished, but not the mini suites. So so he said the question he has is, and again I don't know when this was, Anthony. What is the best way to please a disgruntled client who comes back and this is kind of the stuff they say. They did not complain. They didn't say anything to guest services, which they probably should have, or to the cabin steward, which they probably should have, but only to Jack, the agent. So this is, this unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, wouldn't it be great if every client came back saying every day everything was perfect for our whole lives, but sometimes they come back with a complaint. What do you suggest?
Well, so first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. We did recently refurbish the Caribbean Princess. We did a lot of the Lido deck areas, and we created a new seafood restaurant, and we created a new smokehouse restaurant. We upgraded the area out by the pool where we sell ice cream. It's now called cones, and we sell coffees as well. So there were a lot of huge refurbishments, more than just carpet, that
Right.
we did on Caribbean Princess just last year. We have a grid that shows us everything that was done. So can I get into every single? I don't know if we redid every single mini suite. I don't know. But bottom line, we carry well over 1 million people a year. You know, we're not going to make everybody happy. So what I would do is to try to find out, you know, what they like, what they didn't like, and what, if anything, they'd like done. I think sometimes there's an expectation like, well, we've just got to drop everything we're doing and somehow make these people happy. Well, I mean, what would you like me to do for you? What is there anything that I can do to make you happy? I think that's an honest. I think that's an honest approach, and a lot of times people will just say, you know, I kind of just want to be heard, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes when they start listing, well, this is I didn't like, but you know what, this was really good, and this was really good. I guess overall it was okay, and so maybe that's sometimes what they need. If there was really a service issue, like their air conditioning was broken, their toilet didn't work for 3 days, yeah, that's a service issue. We'd like to hear from that. There's two ways to do that. The customer can either write into us or they can call us. You can call us. Sometimes people like to put it in writing. I like to try to take care of it with a phone call if possible. But if you want to send that in, you can just send it into our customer service department. You can email them, and we'll respond. It typically takes us, you know, 3 to 4 weeks to respond.
Okay. Yeah, Jackson's.
And here's a piece. And let me just say one more thing, because I do get complaint letters that cross my desk. A lot of times, there's nothing that states, okay, well, what's the next step? Like, well, okay, I understand you went on this trip and you didn't like it. What would you like me to do about it? So, if there's some sort of resolution that you'd like to say, like, look, I think this would make the people happy, or they're thinking of going next year, and I think if we could offer them something, I could probably sway them to go back on Princess. I think if you included something like that, that really helps the team that has to filter through all that.
Yeah. Jack's note here, I appreciate you sharing this, Jack. I certainly do. It seems to refer specifically to inside the stateroom. Well, so I just want to say this, that in this day and age of TripAdvisor and of Facebook, you know, where people can share the joys in life and the crazy stuff that goes on in life instantly. I believe that I have found, and I'm sure this goes true with your ships as well, that hotels, wherever we are, their service levels have stepped up in terms of, if there's anything we can do, if there's anything wrong, tell us immediately, because they know, everybody knows, things have to be fixed quickly before any negativity gets out. So, and Jack, you know, I don't know your clients, and so what I would say, if it was me, I can't judge anybody, but if it was me, if I found something that was dirty or that was missing, I would tell somebody immediately and have the expectation it's going to be fixed immediately, and you go on. So certainly we hope they had an overall, as to your point, Anthony, a phenomenal experience, yet they found a couple little things, and you kind of wish they had brought it because they want to fix it. They certainly don't want to, you know, to leave it there for another guest and for word to get out. But Jack, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And Kay said here, Kay has a question going back to club class. I missed the club class dining. Is this only with a group, or are individuals in this dining as well with club class?
If you're in club class, one of the benefits of club class is you have this separate area of the dining room, and it's like an anytime seating reserved for you, with enhanced tableside preparation and such.
Okay, so and they can be
once again club class is our top level of mini suites that we've added this extra element to. It's something that we did. It's something that we did on Cunard years ago. So on Cunard, when we debuted Queen Mary 2, you had Queen's Grill and Princess Grill restaurants, and then Britannia.
Right.
And then so a lot of times people would take our best Britannia class, so that let's say it was a top of the line balcony, and then sometimes people would say, well, you know, I wonder how much it is for the grill, and the step was so high. I mean, the grill started like $500 per person per day, whereas you might have been in a balcony for $200. That's like more than double. So we created this Britannia Club, and it's a nice little price step between our highest balcony and our lead-in Princess Grill. And so that was so successful that you know, we kind of learned from that, and we've tried this now on Princess, and it's doing really well.
You know, I call that supersizing when
Right.
for just a few dollars more, we get a whole lot more. Right? So agents, and I'm talking to you guys now, which is, this is important stuff to know, that these upgrade options are available. And you don't need to use the word upgrade or sell up, because that's kind of scary. People don't want to hear those words, and you don't want to think that. What you want to do is, for just a few dollars more, what can I do? How can I supersize my client? Because when they get there, if they find out after the fact that, man, I could have been eating here, I could have gotten this, I could have had this, why didn't you tell me? We don't want them coming back disappointed. So what we've just learned is a great tool where you're going to supersize their satisfaction, and plus, from a commission perspective, you're going to earn a couple more dollars because you've sold a higher level. So
Right.
that's good information. Promotions. Do your sales promotions, when you're running deals and so forth, do they apply to groups?
Yeah, and in fact, I'm gonna answer that question, but before I say that, I like to remind people we're the third largest cruise line, we're the largest premium line, and I think we do a really poor job of telling everybody all the wonderful things that we do for the trade. The way we look at it, we probably need travel agents more than some other lines. We're not on TV all the time. A lot of our enhancements are very subtle. Our destinations are far-flung. They need a little bit more explanation at times. And so we really need agents a lot. So with that being said, one of the things that we do really, really well, and we don't even have a name for it, we should come up with one, is the combinability of all of our different promotions. So the thinking is, a lot of times the thinking is price, you're going to open up your reservation, and you're going to price it low, and the closer we get to sailing, we're going to raise the price. Because that's what airlines do, right? Because if I have a business trip and I got to get to LA next week, I don't care what it costs. I got to go to LA.
Right.
People don't really vacation like that, right? I don't have to take a cruise next week, right? If it's that expensive, then I'll just go later. Like, I don't have to go tomorrow. Right. So the reality is that at Princess, we try to start a little higher, and then as we get closer, if we have to, then we drop the price a little bit. So this is what we do. You can take out your group space. We're going to give you a fantastic rate. It's typically a 2-category upgrade. So you're starting with that. You're going to have a lot of amenity points. And then if we need to move that sailing, we're going to open up specials. So we might have, right now we have sip and sail going on. We have 3 for free going on. So it's upgrades, it's onboard credits, it's specialty dining. So you can have your group space, you can take advantage of that special going on, and your amenity points still count. You're still earning tour conductors. If we come out with a passenger deal, there's very, very few exceptions. You can still get that, so you don't have to have the uncomfortable conversation of, oh, you want to be in my group, but you want that price. Oh, I can't do it. You can do it. You can do it. You're still earning amenity points. You're still earning tour conductors. You can set up a cruise sale, which offers a reduced deposit of $100 person. You can. It also offers an onboard coupon booklet, 2 per cabin, about $350 worth of value each. So you can set that up. If they're military, you can take advantage of that. So we have all this combinability that you can offer with our groups, and it really makes selling Princess really easy. The one thing I don't, I want to make sure that I don't oversell it. There are, after final payment, so once final payment's in, about 75, 60 days prior to sailing, if we need to, we might open what's called a flash sailing. So those tend to be a flash fare. Those are very reduced, typically inside cabins. Those you don't earn TCs on, but flash fare is at most 1% of all the fare codes that we sell. So it's only used like if we really need to, if we're not on pace, right? Oh, there's 60 days left to sailing, and we have 75 cabins available to sell, and we know that we typically sell 50, so we've got 15 cabins we need to move. That's kind of how our thinking works. If we're on pace to fill by the time we sail, then we're just going to leave the price as is. So anyway, that's but it's a wonderful program. It's one of the reasons people like doing groups with us, because they never have to have that conversation of like, oh,
it's a safety net.
I promoted the group. It's a safety net, and so it works out really, really well.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's excellent. And I will tell you, and again, agents, for those of you who are in boot camp and for my new boot campers, you'll soon learn that train agents, and you may do this too as well, Anthony, not to necessarily sell the off-the-shelf, stripped-down, bare-bones product. And I say that with all due respect, bare-bones stripped-down. When you're dealing with a group, we will have the most success if we create a package, a more inclusive package. What more can we add in? But it could be pre or post, it could be excursions, which we're going to talk about in a second. What can we do in advance for clients to do one or all of these three things? And if you're a regular on the show, you hear me say this all the time. What can you do for your guests that, number one, reduce stress and risk? Number two, add value and convenience. And number three, transform the entire experience. Agents, if you can't do any of those three, we don't need you. Clients don't need you. They'll just book online. That's what makes you special, is that you know more than everyone else out there, and you know what could be stressful that you can book in advance. You know what would add so much more to the experience, so that when they get there, it's like, oh man, I didn't know that I could eat at this specialty restaurant. I didn't know this excursion was available that I should have, could have, would have booked early if my agent had told me. You build it into the package. And you also can't get price shopped when you create a package. So, okay, I just said add that in. Space on board for large groups of people, and this may vary by ship to get together at days at sea for meeting or private events. I would imagine you have different size lounges that can be reserved.
We do. We have our main show lounge, the Princess Theater, so that accommodates probably about 800 people. So we can do it there. That's where we do our main production shows, so we can need to be a little flexible with that. And then we also tend to have an aft lounge. So on some ships it's called Club Fusion, and that's also kind of a club with a stage. So that's also very popular. We've done meetings. I've done meetings on board our ships, and they've given us the dining room, which sounds crazy, but it's really nice. It's quiet in there. There's lots of big tables to spread out. You can put your screen. So we've got lots of meeting space there. And those tend to be the ones that most people are using.
Yeah. I know when I'm fortunate, I do a lot of speaking gigs on cruise ships as well. And sometimes we'll use one of the restaurants. And it's great. It works out just terrific. So agents don't discard that. I think that's a great idea. Speaking of restaurants, how does it work with Princess, and if you want to answer this separate for Cunard, specialty restaurants that are an added fee? Do you have those? And part B, if yes, can these be pre-reserved for a group?
They can. So on Princess, the primary two that we have Crown Grill, which is our steakhouse, and so we have that on just about all of our ships. And then we have, on some ships we have Sabatini, on some we have Share with Curtis Stone. Most of the ships have Sabatini. So we tend to have two specialty restaurants aboard Princess, and those can be blocked and reserved for groups, and we've done that before. We don't get a lot of requests for that, but sometimes there's an incentive, and a bunch of people won, and then the president, the owner of the company, wants to take a handful of those people, 20 of them, to dinner one night, or throughout the cruise, he wants to take some people out, so we can block that in advance.
Yeah.
And we can do the same thing on Cunard. So on Cunard, our main specialty restaurant is Veranda, the Veranda restaurant, and so that's more of a formal restaurant. And then we also have up on Lido Deck, in the evenings, we take and we create an alternative restaurant experience with tablecloths and linens and
nice.
Crystal, and we have waiter service, and they have different themes. So sometimes it could be Indian or Thai. Italian's very popular, and so those also have a small cover charge, and we can do something for groups there as well.
I don't know about you.
We don't get a lot of requests for that, but we can do it.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in it. I got to tell you, I think, especially if you know, of course, that the people in your group enjoy good foods. If they don't care, if they're a hamburger and hot dog crowd, maybe they don't care. But if they do enjoy food, a culinary experience, if you will, to bake it into the package, yes, of course. they're ending up paying for it because you're going to bake it in, and you're not going to reveal. You're not going to show them a breakout price. You're going to bake it in, reserve it with Princess or Cunard in advance, and the fact is you've done something that's convenient for them, so the guest doesn't have to worry. How do I book it? Do I have to wait online? What if I can't get the reservation I want? And oh, we get to do it as a group all together. We get that section of the restaurant is ours. So I love it. We've got a comment here from Melissa. I'm going to read it, and this is going back, Anthony, to about the promotions. I think this may have just clicked with me, she says. So if I open my groups while the promotion is running, I can ensure all my staterooms have those perks of the promotion. Then I can use my amenity points to add to it. Am I understanding this right? So this is a different twist on that question.
Yeah, no. I think what you're asking is if you open a promotion during Sip and Sale. So we have I'm going to use Sip and Sale as an example. Sip and Sale is our promotion which we kick off around June 20th, and it runs to the end of August. And that is typically promoting summer, next year's summer and beyond. Mm-hmm. And we would include the complimentary beverage package on that. If you block your space during that sale, mm-hmm. then the only way for people to get that deal is if they actually make reservations. If you make bookings on that, you can't. If you block the space in July and the promotion ends in August, if somebody down the road in November wants to book, they're not getting the free drinks. Okay. But if you block your space, like let's say you block your space in March, and now a few months later in June we open up the Sip and Sale, mm-hmm. then anybody who books during that window mm-hmm. can get you the amenity points that you offered them, plus the drink package, mm-hmm. plus your earning tour conductors.
Okay. So what I'm hearing here is, so Melissa, just confirm that this all makes sense. Thank you for taking this on because it's an important clarification. So here's the opportunity, friends. The opportunity is to stay in tune with the promotions that's being offered on your ship and your sale date. Because let's say you're 7 weeks in and you have lots of bookings and you're still taking bookings and you see there's a new promotion. You need to think, hey, should I leverage this to new bookings, to drive in new bookings? How can I leverage this brand new promotion for my bookings to take advantage of? And it's better that you as the agent know this before you get the phone call from a client saying, hey, they're offering this promotion, what about me? And that's what makes you a great agent. You already know. You're prepared to take that call and to say yes, no, whatever.
Yeah, and so a lot of times people will ask me, I get people, my friends and family, who ask me, like, well, when's a good time to book? And I give them the same answer. And the answer is, if there's something specifically that you want, if you really want to go to Scandinavia and Russia this year, and you can only go in July, and mm-hmm. then book it. If you are super flexible and you don't really care and you're just looking to go away and it doesn't really matter to you, then you can wait as long as you want, but know that there might not be anything available, or it might not be when you want to go. So if it's something you really, really want to do, then book it now. You can always cancel it later if you don't like it, but book it now, and then that way you get what you want.
Yep.
And there are times when, people will book and then a promotion will open up and you know what, it's not available on that sailing, or that mm-hmm. it's not available in that category for whatever reason. So.
Right. There are always the small details. Pam asks if they have already booked into the group, can they get the sale? So let's say they book right away, a few weeks later promotion comes out, same sale on that category. Can they get that promotion? Yes. The answer is yes, Pam.
And you can actually compare that if you want. If you're comfortable using Polar Online, you can actually go online and open up the reservation, and then there's a little button that you can click, and it says check new promotion, and it'll tell you like, okay, well, this is what it's going to look like. And sometimes what'll happen is, sometimes what happens is people see a new price. Oh, I want that price. Okay, well, here's a new price, but you're going to lose your $600 worth of onboard credits that you had. Is this still what you want to do, or you're going to lose your upgrade? And then so sometimes that's a conversation to have with the customer and say, okay, look, I can get to this new deal, but this is what it's going to look like. So and just be honest with people, and
And it's important to know the terms and conditions, the combinability, because in some cases, as you said, it makes sense. Yes, bring it in. Let's combine it. It works. And sometimes it doesn't because the consumer already has a really fabulous deal, and it doesn't make sense to make any changes. Jack has a question. When we move an FIT booking to a group, and the FIT booking has a prepaid gratuity offer, would the client lose the prepaid gratuity offer?
I mean, I'd have to take a look at an actual booking. And first of all, the whole like moving an FIT into a group, like we don't, that doesn't, the only time that ever happens is if you make a booking and then later on you make another booking and then you decide, you know what, I've already got 2 bookings on this, I might as well get a group, and then you go and take out group space, then you would have to call us and say, okay, look, I made these 2 bookings, 3 weeks ago, and now today I blocked group space. Can you just move these people into? Then we'll have to do that. But if you've got group space blocked, then any bookings you make automatically fall into that group. But I don't see why somebody would have an onboard credit and then not get it when they move into the group. I don't see why that would ever be the. I don't know why they would have an onboard credit if it's a past gesture of goodwill or.
Well, yeah, that was it was I think it was specifically prepaid gratuities. So my guess
off the top
is,
of my head, I can't think of a reason why somebody would have prepaid gratuity.
Yeah, if it wasn't part of a group amenity, it's part of amenity. But it's a great question, and so I would suggest when you have these, because there could be details involved, get in touch with Anthony. Get in touch with your representative. Call, check Polar, and see. Because the good news is, it sounds like Princess is clearly among the most flexible cruise lines to book groups with. Let's talk about.
Yeah, if you've got a specific question, I'm happy to send that over to customer service and have them take a look at it if you've got a specific issue.
Anthony, did we lose your camera? Did we lose any cameras? Yeah?
I can see myself. I don't see you anymore.
Okay. I don't know why my camera disappeared, but I am here. But you can see me. You can see yourself, right?
I can see me, and I can hear you.
Okay. So we just got a message here. Lynn's saying we lost both of you, so I'm hoping we can still be at least heard. Anthony, you're back. So this is a GoToWebinar thing. Everyone stick with the program. We're going to keep motoring on. So, Anthony, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you, yes. I just can't see you.
I know. I can see it's trying to reconnect my camera. And, you know, technology, you love it and you hate it. You never know when it's going to go crazy. Patty says she can still hear but can't see. All right. So here's the question. Let's talk about shore excursions, Anthony. With groups. Can they be pre-booked for a group? Are they commissionable? Can they be customized? So sort of a big question.
Yes. Yes to all of that. We have a great shore excursion department, and they are happy to customize some things. They're happy to net some things out so that you can add some commission to it and make some money off of it. And so that's been a I'm not going to say a huge area of expansion, but it's something that we started, we kind of put the processes in place maybe about a year ago to be able to do this. And so it's not a learning curve, but it's not something that we promote a lot. We should promote it more, but we have the ability to do that. What our studies show, because a lot of times the answer that people will give me is like, oh, well, I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to do my own shore excursion because you don't pay commission. And our response to that is somewhat twofold. Like selling shore excursions can really be a lot of work. It can be a whole other full-time job. And our studies show that people who take our shore excursions tend to have higher satisfaction ratings than people who go off and do their own thing. I don't know if that's because they feel like they were more taken care of, if they just felt like, Princess really made it easy for me. I don't know what that is, but our studies do show that people who take our shore excursions come back happier. But if you've got a group and they want to do specific shore excursions, you can take a look at what we offer and say, I want this for my group, and how can I set it up so I can make a little bit of money and off, for the work I'm doing. We can work with you on that. If you've got something special that you want to build, then we're happy to work on that for you.
Okay. I love it. That's great. It's very, very important. That's a great question. And now my question is, 2019, Anthony, when will group space open up for 19? I know we have one of our boot campers, Sam actually, has a potential group for you.
Super. So right now we have space open through spring of 2019.
Okay.
So if what you're looking for is summer 19, fall 19, and winter of 2020, we should start having that open around the new year. So somewhere between January and March, we should start opening up space. We should start releasing that.
Good deal. All right, I'm going to start asking you about stories and anecdotes, and I have a couple of questions lined up for you. But before I do, I just want to remind everybody for our group boot campers, the next Ask Stuart Hour is November 9th, and that's just little old me, just me and you guys. So that's our next coaching session, and then we're bringing back a guest expert November 14th. And that's for our friends at Celebrity. So they're coming in to talk about groups. That's November 14th, and November 9th is just me. And if there's any other industry experts, we had Classic Vacations on 2 weeks ago, wherever else you want here, you let me know, and we'll get him or her in here and get kind of, I love this, especially what we're doing here with Anthony today, because we're lifting the hood, we're getting the brand perspective, the supplier perspective. Speaking of that, Anthony, my question is about, I mean, you've been with this company for 12 years. You've seen the successes, you've seen the failures. Give us an example of a wonderful success story with a group, because I have a whole series of questions for you. But the first is whether it's recent or an anecdote, a story of an agent that what they did, what was the theme, what did they do, and it was such a success. Maybe it's a repeating group. Share that with us so we can be inspired and learn from it.
So one of my favorites is Alaska. And a lot of agents will tell me, like, oh, I love Princess. You know, anytime anybody wants to go to Alaska, I sell Princess. And unfortunately, I'm wired that what I hear is like, but I never think about you for anything else. So I hope that's not true, because we sail all over the world. We've got wonderful itineraries. But I think Alaska, so let me tell you about Alaska. So Alaska ranks really, really high on people's bucket list of things that they want to do and places they want to go. So it ranks really, really high. But there's this chasm, like they get to a certain point and then they don't know what to do. It's too confusing. There's too many ways to go. I don't know where to do. And what happens is, in the absence of making, if people are afraid they're going to make a bad decision, they don't make any decision. That's just psychologically how we're wired. If we think we're going to make a bad decision, then it's better to make no decision than a bad one. So everyone wants to go. They're not really sure how to get there. And then here's the best part for many of you is you can't really buy it online. It's not easy. It's not an easy transaction online. There's a lot of big agencies out there who have an incredible, you know, web systems, and they find it really, really hard to really sell and market this. So if you're high touch, it's a high touch sale. So here's my recommendation for Alaska. You pick one, you know, cruise tour that you really like. You know, my personal favorite is, I like to start in Fairbanks. I like to fly to Fairbanks overnight, have a whole another day in Fairbanks, and then 2 days in Denali, and then we have a wonderful McKinley Lodge. You know, my favorite tour is 2 nights in Denali, 2 nights in 2 nights in Fairbanks, 2 nights in Denali, and then jump, you know, take the train down, jump on the ship, and do southbound. So I think that's like Tour F, and it's a 11 night.
Okay.
And that's the one that I always recommend. And I always tell people to upgrade the tour. We'll throw in a 4-hour tour. You make it the 6-hour tour, and so you do a little bit of customization. But what my recommendation is, you block the space, you do a little bit of customization, and then you sell that. And you're making it easy for people. They already want to go to Alaska. You've already vetted it for them. You're already presenting it in a very simple way, and it makes it really easy for them to buy. And they'll thank you, because I'll never forget, I was making sales calls with one of our BDMs. We decided to go have a light dinner somewhere, and we walk into a restaurant, and there are these 2 ladies, and one of them has a Holland American brochure, and one of them has a Princess brochure, and they're trying to compare, and they don't know, and they're so, I could see so we walked up, we're like, can we help you? And they were like, well, we just came out of a show, we went to this show, and we were talking about Alaska, but it's still so confusing, and we don't know what to do, and I mean, that happens all the
Right.
time.
Right.
So that's my one recommendation. That's like shooting fish in a barrel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is
No,
and
I agree.
Alaska, our highest rated tour is what we call our connoisseur tour. Usually
Okay.
when you get on land, it's like a hotel. It doesn't include your meals. But on the connoisseur tour, it's hosted and includes just about all your meals. It's
Mhm.
more expensive, but you're getting commission on the whole bottle of wax. You're getting commission on their food. You're getting commission on their escort, and it's our highest rated tour. And if you want to do something that's going to be easy and make you stand out, I would focus on that.
Okay.
So that's a
That's good
that's
stuff.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's good stuff. So if you're wondering, where's Stuart? I'm here. You just can't see me. I have no idea, but my camera is no longer broadcasting. But you've got my voice, and you'll just have to look at Anthony the whole time. Next question I have is, let's talk. We just talked about successes in your recommendation. Now let's talk about
Mhm.
failure. It's one thing to fail. It's another thing if we keep failing, doing the same things wrong. What do you see agents doing wrong that you just wish, because you have the floor right now to say maybe what you've always wanted to tell the agency community, who I know you adore and love, because this is what you do.
I do.
Yeah,
I
this is
do. I
what
really
you.
do. And
Yeah. So
I
what would
have
it
I
be?
have I have nothing.
Yeah.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for people who own small businesses. I work for a big company, and I know I'm going to get paid every 2 weeks. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for people who go out on their own. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you all work really, really hard. I've got a lot of things. I've got like a top 10 list of like things to like make your life easier. But like, can I start with sell the insurance? Sell
Okay.
the insurance. It's not that expensive. I have been on ships sailing away from Miami, and we're at sea for like 2 hours. Everybody's out on deck having a great time. You can barely see the skyline, and somebody has a major heart attack. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have to get airlifted off, with a helicopter, that is not just only scary, but that is financially
Yes.
could be cataclysmic. That's like a
Yes.
$10,000 evacuation.
Yeah.
Sell the insurance. And if they're not going to buy it, make them sign something. Put on an ugly yellow or orange piece of paper and make them sign it. So that's one. Go in the day prior. Just go in the day prior. You've already spent all this money on a cruise. What is $150 or $200 for a hotel room? Just go in the day prior. Not only do you not have to stress about flights and missing flights and mechanicals but you wake up and you're already there. It's so nice to like wake up and like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can lollygag all day. I can go to the pool. I can see my ship. I'll just walk over there and then. So
Yeah.
so sell the insurance.
Mhm.
Those are my two big ones. But the other one is with groups,
Mhm.
you can really be in charge of your own business as
Mhm.
opposed to, well, is the stock market up? Is it down?
Mhm.
Is what saber rattling is going on right now with groups. You can really direct your business and put it where you want to. I'm a big
Mhm.
fan of packaging it all together and making it easy for
Yes.
people to buy, and you bundle it all together, and they can't strip it out and tell you that they
Yes.
found it cheaper at
Yes.
Costco.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
I'm a super big fan of that. Um, and then this one sounds really easy, and I know we all get busy. Read the confirmation.
Mhm.
Read the confirmation. Make sure it makes sense. If there's anything that's missing or you're not clear on, get it in writing,
Yeah.
and then share it with the customer. I know a lot of people like to recreate an invoice, so you have your own agency invoice. But we at Princess, we'll have an agent version with commission and a guest copy with no commission, and I can't believe we're
Okay.
the only cruise line that does that. The guest version,
Mm.
send it to them and send it to them in writing. Please look this over, make sure everything looks okay.
Mhm.
Make sure have a boilerplate email in your drafts that you just
Mhm.
copy and paste and copy and paste. You have to recreate it.
Right.
Please make sure that I've got the ship, the date, the location, your names are spelled correctly,
Mhm.
and please confirm with me that this is correct. And then you don't have to worry about oh my God, I spelled their name wrong 8 months ago,
Right.
and now it's going to cost a change fee with airline. So those are some of my real quick
No, those.
recommendations.
I think
You'll have
those are.
happier customers. You'll sleep better at night.
Yep. No, I think that's outstanding. And to talking about the package, and I'm so glad to hear that you're a big proponent of that too, as I am, creating the package. You guys do accept an overpayment, so if the travel
I
agent
do.
packages it more, so tell me about that. How does that work? Because that's a big issue about how agents can collect,
You can charge
more.
You can charge up to $250 per person more. You can upcharge $250 more with no questions asked. You just put it on there. If you've got a group, I'm going to give you one piece of advice though. Just make sure that you let what we call the finalizer. So when you finalize your group, hey, this is everybody I've got and this is what everybody wants, you let her know, look, any overage, send it back to me. You know, we're a big global company. We've got lots of employees all over the world. We're like a machine, and sometimes a computer sees an overage and they just put it back on the credit card, you know, and so just tell your finalizer and she'll flag it so that any overage goes back as a payment to you. But you can charge up to $250 with no questions asked. If you want to do more, and there are agencies who do more because they have a celebrity or somebody coming on board that they need to pay for, or they've got to bring band equipment over, whatever, you can charge more. We have a form that's filled out and we have it in writing. That's really just to protect us, and the credit card company wants to make sure, like, well, if the cruise is only $1,000, why are you charging $1,500? So we just have to have that little piece of paper. It's really easy. It's called a value add form, and so yeah, you can do that with us.
So this is huge. Agents, I'm going to leave a slight pause here, so this really resonates. Here's the pause, and there you go, because this is always an issue, especially if you don't have or don't want to ever get into the merchant account business. We have your own account, where maybe you're uncomfortable accepting the deposit as a check, and which is another alternative too. So you can build some of the overages into the check, let's say, but still have Princess Cruises on your credit card. And it's all baked in. They can't break it out. And Anthony just said that you can potentially get approval for even higher, as long as it's all out in the open with Princess. But he also gave a really critical piece of advice, which is in part of boot camp it's called avoid group disasters. From a financial perspective, I call it protect your assets. And one of the way you protect your assets is right before that ship set sail, you compare manifests, which you should be doing every single week, just to make sure there hasn't been a change that maybe you haven't been made aware of, if a client happened to have called direct. I'm just saying, you never know. You want to compare it, or if there's been an error made. And then, so you finalize it right before that ship set sail to make sure there's no surprises, no changes, no last minute cancellations, and then you reconcile it. You do the reconciliation after, right, Anthony, so that they can compare the accounting, because yes, Princesses, all these cruise lines are processing a lot of business every day. It's not Princess's responsibility, it's yours as the agent to compare line item by line item to make sure the commissions are correct, the TCs are correct, all the bonuses, that it all, what we say, it trues up, right? It's a true up. And so that it couldn't be more important to do. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. You had started to ask me a question a while ago when we first started about deposits. So I wanted to talk on that for a little bit. So
okay.
If you block a group...
Wait, talk that, and then I have two new questions, one from Jenny, one from Ramona. So take that first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the deposit. So you can block up to 16. You can block up to 16 beds. We talk in beds at Princess. 16 beds. That's 8 cabins with no deposit required at all. If you want to block more than that, then we're typically asking for $25 per person. But we typically don't need that until we're like within about 8 months out, 9 months out, something like that. So you can block something a year and a half in advance. Like, we don't really need your money until we start getting closer to it. So that's really nice to have. And then when we do ask for money, it's $25 per person, right? So $50 a cabin. Mm-hmm. But here's one of the things I love. I don't know if everybody else does this, but we do, and that's all that really matters, is that any deposits you have on individual bookings account towards that bulk deposit. So let's say that we're asking for, I can't do this math in my head. Let's say you have 8 cabins and we're asking for $50 a cabin, so we're asking for $400. Mm-hmm. If you have one booking and that person's already put down $600, mm-hmm. that counts towards all your bulk deposits. So you don't have to out of pocket any money on yourself for out of your own pocket. So that makes it really, really easy. So sometimes a deposit might be $2,000. Well, if you have a bunch of cabins booked and everybody's put down $100 a person, there's your bulk deposit. You don't have to out of pocket anything. So I think that's a really great agent friendly
Yep.
policy that we offer.
Yep. Yep, I like it. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we've got 3 minutes left. Or I've got 2 questions. This one from Jenny.
I'll speak quickly.
Yeah, I have an Alaska group I'm promoting. Will a princess rep come do a cruise night?
We can take a look at that. The thing that we want to do though is make sure that there's a meaningful number of people there, and so meaningful, I would think 25 people, and that aren't already booked. Nothing's more frustrating for everybody involved than to show up and no one's there, or everyone's already booked, especially if somebody has to drive a couple of hours. But if that's what you need, if you can kind of deliver that, what I would recommend is just reach out to your business development manager, whomever that is. If you're not sure, you can call our sales department, and we'll let you know who that is and get you in contact with them. And we love selling Alaska. We love talking about Alaska. And so, yeah, just reach out to us. It'd be great.
Cool. That's great. There you go, Jenny. All right, here's Ramona's question. In order to charge more, and you are hosted, so in this case, we're talking about agent who is hosted, right? Works through a host agency. Does anything go back to the host in that case? I don't know if you can answer that or if that's a host-by-host issue. What do you think?
I think that's a conversation to have with your host, because obviously, if we send it back as a all of our payments are done electronically. We use a company called Bottom Line. So if there's an overage that's going to the agency, it's to you, it's going to go to the agency in a form of an electronic transfer. So I think the conversation is to have it with your host and say, look, I'm going to promote a group, and I know that you all give me X%. I'd like to make it the full 15. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge a little bit more in order to make that happen. Will you pass that on through to me, or are you going to take a cut off of that as well? So I think that's a conversation to have with your host.
Yeah, I agree. Ramona, I hope that helps, but I think that's is an individual basis. And she says thanks, that helps. So we have 60 seconds left. This is your countdown clock, agents, for your final questions for Anthony. And hey, by the way, everybody, I'm grateful that for the last 15 minutes everyone has stuck around, even though you can't see my gorgeous face. I mean, I look. Sometimes technology just does the weirdest things, and this hasn't happened in ages, but at least that we went on with the show. So last chance for questions. So let me just check the box here. Check the box. I don't see anything else coming through. We're going to give a 30-second countdown because we do have a hard stop.
I tell you, while people are thinking, I'm going to give you another great idea. So if you're looking for an interesting group to promote, think about Cunard. We sail all over the world, and we're in Europe and all that, but I'm going to give you a couple of easy sailings out of New York. We do 2 12 days out of New York that go down to the Caribbean. It's the Queen Mary 2, such a fast ship. We can get down to Barbados in 12 days. We do one over the holidays. We also do one in November, but we do like Barbados, St. Kitts, Martinique, beautiful itineraries. We do a 5-day Independence Day out of New York. When you spend Independence Day in Boston, that's a great sampler cruise to try Cunard. And we also do a really fantastic couple of them, Canada, New England, where we stop and actually overnight in Quebec City. And so people who love cruising really want to try Cunard, and the number one objection is price. They think they can't afford it. And the beautiful thing about Cunard is it's luxury on a grand scale. So you can be at a beautiful property like the Ritz-Carlton, but you're not necessarily paying $500 a night. You could be in an inside cabin, or you could be in a balcony cabin for about what you would pay to be on a Princess cruise. Wow. So it's something to think about, and it'll differentiate you from all the other agents who are sometimes selling the same stuff over and over again.
I agree. That's good advice. I like it. And with that, we're going to end right on the money. Hey, Anthony, thanks so much for being a guest on the Ask Stuart Hour.
Thanks for inviting us. We were pleased to be here, and we'd love to do it again anytime.
Cool. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for giving up your hour to be with us on this coaching show. I wish everybody happy sales. Bye, Anthony. Thanks again.